How's it going, everybody? Welcome to another episode for season 2 of Sanity Symphony Podcast, where your story is our soundtrack. And today, I have a very special guest, and we're going to do things a little different today, where we get a mental perspective on the impact of someone's music from a fan's perspective. And that special fan we have today is Paris. Welcome to the show, Paris.
Hi, how are you?
Doing great. Thank you for taking the time to be on the show and to tell your story on how Eminem's music impacted your life.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so glad to be here today.
No problem. The pleasure's mine. And for starters, outside of being a fan of music, who is Paris herself?
So I'm 25. I'm a labor and delivery nurse. I'm married. I have 3 dogs, and I live in upstate New York.
That's awesome. I love that. And you mentioned being a nurse. How does that impact you emotionally, especially being young in the game right now with the industry?
I think being a nurse, I give nurses a lot of credit. It's a super hard job. It's mentally taxing. It's one of those jobs where I feel like you're there for 12 hours a day and you sometimes aren't able to leave work at work. You bring it home with you.
And how did you get into nursing? What drew you into it?
I've always enjoyed helping people. I really feel like it was kind of my calling. There's not really a specific incident or occasion. I feel like God kind of called me that was what I was meant to do.
And how do you personally care for your mental health and physically as well, during your times of low moments, or same thing for your husband as well?
I think that music is a huge part of caring for mental health. It's kind of one of those escapes where you can just throw it in and drown out the world for a while. I really enjoy going to the gym on a daily basis, and I put my headphones in, hop on the treadmill, and just let it go, you know?
I love that. And you mentioned music being a major part of being your therapy. And I always say to people, music can always be used as a form of therapy as long as you pick the right people and the right content to listen to connect with. So,
Absolutely.
how did you get introduced to Marshall's music, and how did it impact you from the beginning?
So I vividly remember I was 10 years old. I was in my mom's minivan with her, and Lose Yourself came on. And it was one of those moments in life where you hear music and you're like, wow, what is that? That's different. I've never heard something like that before. And there was so much emotion behind his music, and I almost felt like he was speaking to me in that moment. Growing up, I feel like I was kind of an outcast. I didn't really play sports. I was involved in musicals, but I didn't really feel like I had a lot of people like in my corner. My parents were in my corner and my younger brother was in my corner, but I felt like he was speaking to me, you know?
I love that. And from my experience, I think I was about the same age, maybe 10, 9-ish. And first album I heard was the Marshall Mathers LP. And The Way I Am was the first song I heard on there. And just, I related a lot to the anger and the passion that he had on there. That's what drew me to him a lot.
Yeah.
And for you yourself, what would you say drew you to him as far as from a storytelling perspective, like topics that he would speak on?
I think that something special about his music is he has a song for every single emotion that there is. Whether you're angry, whether you're sad, whether you feel like you just can't keep going anymore, there's a song. And like I said before, I feel like he's directly speaking to you. I really like how he goes through life and he doesn't really care what anybody else thinks about him. I think, does do his music for his fans, but I think that he does it for himself, and I think that that's the most important part.
I love that. And from your perspective, working in the healthcare environment, is there certain songs that you listen to that could resonate with your working environment, possibly?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've struggled with anxiety for a lot of my life, and a song that I play frequently on my way into work is Not Afraid. Um, I think that that kind of gives me almost the momentum to just sit back, give it up, know that I know what I'm doing, I'm meant to be there, and that I have to have confidence to keep going. I also think Lose Yourself is a huge song where you just have to stay in the moment and kind of not worry about what the future holds or worry what's going on around you.
Awesome. And take me back to the time when you got to go to the Stands premiere in New York City. And what was it like walking into that space surrounded by a bunch of people who were there all for one reason, and that's the passion of being an Eminem fan?
Oh my gosh. The feeling is electric. That moment, that trip was very last minute. I feel like they released kind of the tickets. I told my husband, I was like, hey, I don't know if he's going to be there or not. I want to go. We were going to go and see the Stands premiere anywho. And he said he gave me the go ahead to book. And I'm actually in a group chat with a couple of other fans that I had met down in Texas at the Formula One races when he performed. So it was really great to be able to connect with them again. Everyone that went to Texas also went to New York City for the most part. So we kind of had like a group. It was awesome to be there. And I think it's like it's an indescribable feeling to be with people that love and care for an artist so much as you do.
I agree 100%. And I wish I could have been there, but I was busy with school at the time, so I couldn't travel for it.
Yeah.
But you also got to see him in person on stage giving a thank you speech to all his fans for being a big support in his career since day one. So how did that moment feel for you, and what was going through your mind during that moment?
First of all, I couldn't believe that he was there. I think that everybody had kind of had an inkling that, hey, maybe he's gonna come, maybe he's gonna show up, but he's a very unpredictable individual. Um, when he did come out, I actually like teared up. I started crying. It's just it's so emotional to see somebody in person, even if you don't get the chance to have a conversation with them, that has had such an impact on your life and has gotten you through really dark moments.
And how did it feel to be acknowledged for your support throughout his whole career, like him saying that himself to you in the crowd?
I think it felt like, even though we were in a big crowd, I kind of felt like I was the only person in the room and I felt like he was talking to me. I felt like he was saying, thank you so much for your support. Thank you for listening to my music and kind of riding through my career with me. And it was just a really special moment, I think, not only for myself, but for everyone that was there.
I agree. And watching the Stands documentary, did it change your perspective on him as a person and as a performer, or do you still see him the same way from when you first became a fan of him?
Um, I think a little bit of both. I think I still see him as that performer before, but I also kind of see that he, and I think that for the most part, he has been so open with his struggles with us fans. But I think that it really emphasized that, hey, he is human. He does want to have privacy. He does want to be able to go to a grocery store and not be recognized. And I think that was like eye-opening for me to think that somebody that we idolize and that we think so highly of just wants to have a normal life sometimes.
And would you say it also helped you reflect on your journey as a fan, like seeing other people who have obviously there's levels to being a fan and being
Yeah.
a stan and his perspective. Did it make you feel like, oh, maybe there are people who are bigger fans than I think I was? Or do you feel like it's all an equal amount?
I think one thing that I really love about Eminem stands is I don't think that we make it a competition about who likes Eminem more or who's a better fan or who's listened to him the longest. I think that we're a very welcoming community in the sense that if you started listening to Eminem today, I would have the same respect for you as somebody that's listened to Eminem for 15 years, you know?
Yeah, I'd say for me, it definitely gave me a different perspective on him. Like, it gave me more of a realization that he's definitely human, just like all of us, and that I like that he wears his heart on his sleeves a lot compared to other people who just always keep that like tough guy persona, you know? And he definitely shows that he cares about his fans and the support that he's been given all his career. And
Absolutely.
I'm always appreciative of those type of moments. And anytime he's able to put out personal videos like that on a documentary means a lot also from a fan's perspective.
Absolutely, and I think it means a lot, even the fact that he took the time. He's such a busy man, I'm sure, to travel from Detroit to New York City to even just give us that little thank you for 5 minutes. It meant the absolute world.
What do you think people misunderstand about hardcore fans?
I think people think that we're crazy. I think people think that all we care about is meeting Marshall and being the first to get his music, and that we would do absolutely anything in the world to meet Marshall, you know?
What advice would you give to people who want to balance a demanding career along with their passions and other extracurricular activities like you do?
I think that anything is possible. I think that you have to show up for yourself. I think we have seasons of life where we're down and we think, well, I'm not going to get to travel. I'm not going to get to go to this concert. I'm not going to get to do that. And I think that changing the way you think really changes the outlook of your life. Where if you say, well, I might not get to go to this concert, but I'm working hard in school right now, so maybe I'll get to go to the next concert that comes out. I think that perspective is everything.
That's true. And from my perspective as well, like I'm a college student along with doing my podcast and chasing my career in psychology and radio. So I definitely say time management and knowing how to just maintain your stress because people do get overwhelmed sometimes because of their overwhelming schedule. But,
Yeah.
if you just organize at a time, take it one step at a time, one day at a time, I think it'll go fine.
Yeah. And I also think one more thing I'd like to add is that it's okay to say no. I think that as a society, we've gotten into the motion of always having to say yes, always having to go, always having to do stuff. And sometimes it's okay to say, no, I can't today, or I just need a break and I need to sit, right?
Absolutely. And looking back on that night in Manhattan, what moment do you think will stay with you the longest and why?
Um, I think it was really cool. So I had brought a sign down to Manhattan that says, if you sign my arm, I'll get it tattooed. And I've kind of had that sign. I brought it with me to Texas. I brought it a couple of other places. So that sign's kind of carried over throughout. And I think that being in that environment, I think this time a lot more people recognized it. Like, um, people were taking photos of it. And I'd like to think that he saw it, but another fan account, I'd like to shout them out too while I'm on this podcast, the Slim Shady Archive. Um, he runs a huge fan account on Instagram, and he had posted like my reaction to Marshall coming out onto the stage, and I think that was a huge moment for me.
I did get to see that post, and I think I reposted it as well. And that's how I believe that's how I networked with you as well, right?
Yes, I think that's how we connected.
Yeah, perfect. And I do love these fan accounts too that they make because not only do you get like rare pictures to see, rare videos, things like that, but it also helps you connect with others who are in the same space of being a fan of Eminem's music. So you know that you're not
Yeah,
alone in that space.
definitely.
And one last thing, if you knew, let's say Marshall was watching this video, what's one thing you would want to ask him or one thing you would want to say to him in this moment?
I would want to thank him for getting me through seasons of life where I didn't think that I was going to make it to the next one. I want to thank him for just being there with me, even if he's not physically there, and for making his music. I guess just to thank him for everything.
Amen to that. And also, one last thing I ask all my guests at the end of every interview. During times of low moments and times of just going through a rough day, obviously you are an Eminem fan. So, is there a specific song that really just resonates with you during a really rough time or an album that you could listen to with no skips front and back and why?
Let's see, that's hard. I honestly have to say that I think Recovery is one of those albums where I can listen front to back, no skips. And um, I really love Spacebound and I like Not Afraid. I think even though those are some of his more popular songs, I think that he's speaking into that moment, like um not afraid to take a stand, keep moving forward, and then Spacebound when he says nobody knows me, I'm cold, walk through this road all alone. I feel like he's there with me in that moment, walking me through those lows.
Amen to that. And for something that resonates with that verse that you said would be for me, Sing for the Moment when he says, alone in his own zone, cold and you don't care, something like that. And that line just resonates with me a lot. Or when
Yeah,
he says, holy or unholy, only this gun lonely because don't anyone know me. That one resonates with me a lot too.
yeah,
And I'd say an album for me, no skips, would have to be Eminem's Show. Just how
yeah,
personal and deep he got on that album, and the production as well, along with his delivery from the vocal perspective.
yeah,
It's amazing.
definitely. That's a great one too.
And that concludes another episode of Sanity Symphony Podcast, where your story is our soundtrack. And we want to thank Paris for joining us today to share her perspective on how Eminem's music impacted her life. We hope that you were able to connect and resonate with some of the stories you heard on here and share with others. Let us know in the comments as well if one of his favorite songs are yours and what album is your favorite as well. And we want to catch you on the next episode. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.